Nate, an 18-year-old boy, and his 4 best friends decided to go camping in the nearby mountains in Blackwood Forest. They set off early in the morning, equipped with all the necessary gear and food. After passing through Blackwood Forest, they reached the mountain and were greeted by a breathtaking view. They started setting up their tent for the night, and by the time they finished, it was around 6:45 p.m. Once the tent was ready, they all sat down to relax. Kevin, one of Nate's friends, stood up and announced, "I'm going into the forest to collect firewood." He then headed into the forest while the others continued preparing their food. 2 hours passed, and Kevin had not returned. Nate and his friends began to worry. Fearful for Kevin's safety, they decided to go look for him. With only 2 flashlights between them, they entered the dark forest, calling out loudly, "Kevin! Kevin!" But there was no response. By now, it was 8:30 p.m., and Kevin was still missing. The group decided to split up to search for him. Nate and John went to the right, agreeing to meet back at the starting point in an hour. As they walked through the forest, something suddenly ran past them from behind, but they couldn't see what it was. A few minutes later, they came across a creepy wooden house in the middle of the forest. A single lamp was lit inside, and the sound of owls hooting added to the eerie atmosphere. Despite their fear, they called out for Kevin, but there was no reply. Gathering their courage, Nate and John walked into the house. Inside, they saw horrifying things: severed heads and dead animal bodies. Suddenly, they spotted Kevin lying on the floor. Nate quickly helped Kevin up, and the 2 friends rushed back to their meeting point with John. Kevin was too weak to explain what had happened. The group hurried back to their campsite with a terrible sense of dread. Once there, they ate quickly and went to sleep. The next morning, Kevin finally told them what had happened. After he left to collect firewood, his flashlight died, and he sensed something moving around him. Suddenly, he was hit on the head and lost consciousness. When he woke up, he found himself in the wooden house, where he saw a large man cutting up dead bodies and preparing food. It was a horrifying sight, and he felt lucky that Nate and John had found him in time. Shaken by the experience, the friends quickly packed up their things and returned home. They went straight to the police to report what Kevin had seen.